Carson City Historic Resources Commission on Thursday, March 9th, 2023 to order. Can we call the roll?
Chairperson Drews,
Here.
Vice Chair Schmitter, Commissioner Block, Commissioner Darney, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Spielda, Commissioner Wright. A quorum is present.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. Next item is public comment. Is there any public comment on matters pertaining to the Historic Resource Commission? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, meeting item. 4, possible action, approval of minutes for the January 12th, 2023 meeting. So everybody had a chance to review those?
I move that we approve the minutes from the January 12th meeting.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
But what button do I hit? Okay.
Joan, did you want to vote yes on the minutes?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To abstain from the minutes?
I didn't hear what you asked.
Would you like to vote, are you voting yes on the minutes or?
No,
are you-
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining.
I'm
Okay, I just
abstaining,
wanted
yeah.
that to be clear for the record. Thank you. And we'll let the record show that member Schmitter has arrived to the meeting.
Late. We use that clock. Any, not in favor? Motion or minutes for January 12th are approved. Next item is item 5A, HRC-2023-0041. For possible action, discussion and possible action regarding request by Reds and Julie Reagan, the applicant, for an in-ground swimming pool in the backyard of a single-family residence on property zone single-family 6,000, SF6, located at 711 West Spear Street, assessor's parcel number APN 003-244-01. Heather.
Thank you. Heather Ferris for the record. The property is located at the southeast corner of Mountain Street and West Spear Street. The house was built in the early 1870s. It's a single-story structure that has been altered over time, but is primarily Greek Revival. The applicant is seeking to build an in-ground swimming pool with associated flatwork in the rear yard of the home between the house and the detached garage. There's an existing wrought iron fence and gates, which were installed last year and will serve as the required security fencing for the pool. And the fencing shown there. Staff finds the proposed pool be consistent with the Secretary of Interior standards and Carson City development standards. And staff is recommending approval based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval, which are included in your staff report. I'm available for questions, and the applicant's representative is also here.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions of Heather? Any questions of the applicant's representative?
Question. I did look on the Sanborn map and I see the garage structures there from the 1880s. So are we concerned with any archaeology on this? Because how far are we going down?
There's always the potential. I mean, I assume it's gonna be 6 feet, 5 feet deep, 7 feet. So there is some potential. We could consider that, I guess, consider what we want to do with it in the motion.
Could the applicant come up to the table?
Would you be amenable to, if you, while you're excavating for the pool, if you find archaeological, like bottles or things like that of the earlier period of the house, to contact somebody on the commission here?
Yes, we've already, on other projects, have this situation, and we have hit from everything from old bottles to Indian stuff to you name it. So then we stop and figure out who's gonna come and take a look at it.
Can you state your name for the record?
David Priest, Timberline Pools.
Any other questions or comments?
The only comment here is, it is at the rear of the property, and it's sort of not visible from the streets, and any of the streets really, so I think it's a good location for the pool. We don't usually have pools in the historic district, so this is kind of a new thing. But at the place that they chose, I think it works well with that lot, so I think it's in an appropriate location.
Any other questions or comments, Don?
We had a similar one about 4 years ago, I believe, with Mr. McFadden's home.
Right
And
across the
where he
street.
moved it in the back, and, you know, I've been there several times since, and it was done well, it's screened well, and I look at this, I think we'll most likely have the same effect.
Yeah, Heather asked if I wanted to do this administratively, and since we really don't have guidelines for pools, I thought, let's just let the commission look at it and take it off my plate. Yep. Yeah, is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve HRC 2023-0041 based on the findings and conditions of approval outlined in the staff report, the Carson City Historic District guidelines, and consistent with the Historic Resources Commission policies.
Oh, add the,
Yes, and we'll add that if you do encounter some artifacts of any type, if you would please get a hold of someone with the commission.
How about staff?
How about specifically staff?
Okay.
Or Michelle?
I have a motion and or do I have a second? Motion and a second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, David. Yeah,
We've had that problem this year. Thank you.
next item is 5B, HRC 2023 for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding potential nominations for the 2023 Carson City Historic Preservation Awards for outstanding achievements in historic preservation. Heather?
Heather Fariskin for the record. So as you know, the HRC annually presents the Historic Preservation Awards to projects, persons, or organizations for outstanding achievement in historic preservation. This agenda item gives the HRC members an opportunity to discuss the selection of a recipient, with the award being presented at a Board of Supervisors meeting in May. We haven't received any nominations from the public, so it's up to the commission.
Thanks, Heather. Too bad Jed's not here. He's always got good ones. Does anybody have any ideas, Michelle?
Things have been a little slow last couple of years.
We can do an individual, right? I'd like to nominate Greg.
Any other,
If you want to do
Ideas?
2 items, an item I had thought of, I think that's lovely, what you just suggested. The woman, her name's Sarah, I can't think of her last name, who purchased the press building.
I was gonna
And-
say that, or nominate that building too.
Right, she did a lot of work there.
Yeah, 102
It was a
North Curry.
cleanup, really was what it
Yeah,
was.
it's, she painted it nice wrought iron fence. Anyone else? Just to throw a few out, Carson City Open Space for their work at Silver Saddle Ranch. Something we could consider. I don't know, did we ever do Mayor Bob?
Not during my tenure.
I don't think we have. Or Brad Bonkowski either. Those are two
Right.
other thoughts I had. So what would the commission like to go with? We could do a property and a person, or single, whatever we'd like. Any consensus? It'll always be there.
I mean, I, of course, like it too, but it's not in the district. Are we looking for things in the district? Oh, okay.
Did Brad serve on the commission?
No, but he's always been, and when we've had appeals, he's been very supportive.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe this year would be appropriate for Greg, since
Yeah,
he served
I-
on the commission, we could highlight his service.
Yeah, I think he did a lot. The scavenger hunt, our next item was Greg's idea. And fortunately, Joan's here to work the camera. So do we want to go with 102 North Curry and Greg? Is that kind of the consensus?
You made a nice point. Those projects are always going to be here. And I think when somebody goes out of their way as much as Greg did on this commission, we should just reserve this for him. That's you wanted my opinion, I'm giving it.
That's what we did for Art Hannafin too. Yeah? Okay. Do we need to make a motion on this, or just direct staff to? Yeah. Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
I
I'm
move.
sorry. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to nominate Greg Hayes for the 2023 Historic Preservation Award in celebration of Historic Preservation and Archaeological Awareness Month.
Second?
Yes.
Mike, I didn't hear the name.
You have to be here to accept it, Joe. Motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, and thank you, Joan. Next item is 5C for possible action, discussion. Oh, Heather, let's try to do that the first meeting in May.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last year.
Okay. Item 5C, HRC 2023-0081 for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding the 2023 Historic Resources Annual Scavenger Hunt. Heather?
So as I'm sure you're all aware, for the last 13 years, HRC and the Planning Division staff have been organizing the scavenger hunt for the month of May, which is Historic Preservation Month. This item just gives you the ability to discuss the scavenger hunt for 2023, whether or not you want to continue it. If you do, then we're looking for volunteers from the commission to help pull something together, and we also need a theme. Last year's theme was focused on identifying the unique elements that reflect the architectural styles of the period from 1868 to 1900.
Any ideas for themes?
So I have a couple.
And Joan.
We could do,
So,
oh, good.
let's tell my staff earlier, I do have access to all of Greg's photos, all of which have not been used, I'm sure. And I'm not a bad photographer myself. I'm happy to pick up the photography portion of the scavenger hunt and work with, I think, Luann, with you.
And Michelle. you-
Okay. So I would love to have that little job. Well, may not be so little, but anyway, I'll have that job.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some file called scavenger hunt on the computer, so I'll be able to get to that resource.
Lou, did Greg give you those files too?
Did he?
I don't, he didn't give me his files. I have
Okay.
files that
I-
I've taken photos.
it's really-
He's given me some for.
Yeah, it's really
over the
my
years, but-
computer that he
yeah.
was working on.
Yeah. Um,
An argument between us.
Go ahead.
But he can't stand up for himself anymore.
You had some suggestions?
So we could do the unique elements from 1901 to 1973, if you think we have enough stock to do that. We could do how styles reflect the historic period, and you could use a variety of different periods. We could do ways that architects solve problems, and that would be like how the steeples are there for ventilation, chimneys, porches, doorways, just the way they're differently arranged on buildings to solve a particular problem. Anyway, that's what I came up with.
I do love that last one, but I don't know how somebody from the public, yeah. We like to figure out how architects solve problems.
Yeah.
Or how architects create.
Would we want to go to 1973 or maybe to 1950s, something like, I mean, I'm just trying to think what's in the district.
That might be the limiting factor, is that we don't have enough good styles from 1901 to even to the 1950s. But I think we have the 1900s, 19-teens, 20s, into the 40s. And so, anyway, you could,
Did you have some ideas, Michelle?
Well, previously we talked about outbuildings and the fact that this particular project has an outbuilding, a very old garage. But it's not, I mean, it's interesting for us, but how interesting is it for the public? So what kind of responses have we gotten from our previous treasure hunts?
I think last year we had maybe 40 participants. And prior to that, I wasn't really involved. I know 2019, I don't think was great.
Are you looking for feedback in terms of what they said? So yeah, so one, they love going around the district. They want to look for things. They want to look for chimneys. They want to look for windows. That's what they really, I feel like, don't make it too hard for them, because what they really enjoy is the weather, the beauty of the district, and just sort of what are those character defining features for the period of significance. And if we give them something else, as I tried to do an intellectual one with you all, and that was a disaster and they hated it and I got hate mail. And so if nothing else, that clarified what they do like. Yeah, exactly. I thought cerebral was great, but they hated it. So yeah, I think that would be my suggestion to you is go with an element like you've done in the past that gets people just walking around the district and kind of getting acquainted with that element.
More,
Yeah, one of the other issues with some of the outbuildings is they're behind the structures and not quite as accessible as walking down the street. Could we do like an introduction to this with just talking about turn of the century architectural elements so people know what they're looking for and
Well,
even know
I think if we go with what Luann was saying, that time period, then we've got great information. Even if we just shoot all windows or doors, but I'd like to mix it up.
Yeah, I think
So you're looking at outbuildings, you're including the little garages and, no?
I think we're looking at 1901 to the 1950s
Just,
architectural styles.
just styles, okay, and not do the outbuildings?
Right.
Okay, because I have to say, the outbuildings could be fun because those little garages and those little doors on those garages are so fabulous when you get looking. But anyway, that's another year, maybe.
Well, we could bring in at least one or two.
Yeah.
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 Actually, that makes sense
Actually,
because
it will
they,
show how the garage changed location.
and that it came around during that period too, when
Right.
cars started coming. So we could put some outbuildings in it.
Okay.
It'd be fun.
I know we've done things like chimneys and windows and stuff. Have we done things like front entryways, front doors, anything like that? Because that's something that's obviously, should be easy to see from the street or approach or anything like that.
I think we did do
Did we
doors
do something
one
like
year. Yeah, we did foundations, done doors, windows, porches. We've done cornices, I think. Yeah. So the consensus is 1901 to, or through the 1950s, and
Find some infill. That's a 73 or 72.
there are some.
They're from the 80s, right?
I can't remember. They're all the things we took out for the National Register
Yeah,
nomination.
that would be cool to have them identify a house that was built after 1980. That looks historic, and that can be extra points or something.
Well, let's see if we can find one as we're walking through the neighborhood. So
It would be kind of cool to do the garage, the outbuilding as a garage, so the carriage house, and then the attached garage and how that's taken over. Although you can take it to its extreme where it's the snout house now with the garage in the front of the house. But we could do, add that into the 1901, 1950s elements, because that's definitely a character defining element of the 1950s.
Because they're all very similar. And so it is, by itself, its own little style.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what looks fine.
Joan, Lou, Michelle, are you guys? Do you guys want to work on it?
Yeah, let's work together and see.
Yeah. And I think as you walk around, we can flesh out. Yeah,
Which is what, Sunday?
yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, I do. I was just playing with it today. Yeah, you could. Yeah, I'll get right on.
Typically, when do you go online with it? The scavenger hunt, when is it?
Usually the month of May, so first Monday or so in May.
Okay. And Heather or Hope, you want to get and see if the Fox will
Yeah.
support us again?
We'll work on that from our end.
All right. Or we could do dinner at Piazza. Get Mark back into it. Okay, so there's some ideas. We've got people to put it together. Sounds like it's a go. Should we let SHPO know in case they put out something regarding Historic Preservation Month that we're doing our scavenger hunt and awards? Okay. Anything else on this item? Any public comment? I don't think we need a motion. I think we have direction and we'll all follow through. Next item is item 6, staff reports. Heather?
I don't have much to report other than our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for May 11th.
Any commission member reports or comments?
Do we want to talk about the motel that's gonna get torn down.
We discussed that last meeting. so
Right. But is there any follow-up?
I don't think they've done anything, have they?
Have you seen anything?
Yes, and I had sent that to Mike for review, and it's now in our files, and we've signed off on the permit for demolition.
Yeah, after reviewing the document that was submitted to NDOT, we concurred. They had the motel eligible under all 4 National Register criteria. We concurred with everything but the archaeological criteria or for research, because there was nothing in there that really set the context for that research. Without it, there's no way that you can mitigate. There's no research questions, so we can't figure out how to answer those. So we said nothing there. And the report is very thorough. It's does a really good job, does exactly what we asked the applicant to do, document the structure and the builder and everything else. So it was actually a really good job, and that's on file with the community development. Anything else?
I'm not sure if this is the right place to bring it up, but, or maybe it's to be on a future agenda item, is having a statement or a process where if this happens again, we know exactly what we want. Because, last meeting we were,
Heather and I talked about that after this came up, and I think we might want to agendize guidelines for demolition and add those. We can start working on it, and then when you guys have time, we can add it to the historic district guidelines. But that'd be a really good thing to have, so that people know up front if they want to demolish something, it's not just tear it down, throw it away, that there's other things we need to do. Any other future agenda items?
This isn't a future item, it was from the last one. I just wanted to welcome Joan to the commission, and
Well, I will too then. Good to have you back, Joan. It's a little more formal than the last one you were on the architectural review committee. Yeah. We still do the same thing. We'll take people's plans and mark them up and throw them back.
I don't know whether you know what along. So we usually make him think.
John's right down the street from us, so
Yeah.
he lets me know all the time too. Any other items under staff reports? Hearing none, is there any public comment? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment then.
so moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.